Hey everybody, this is Aaron, and I'm excited today to have Victoria with us today to talk a little bit about social emotional learning and development. The goal is in the next 5-10 minutes to give you an overview of what we do, what it's about, and the curriculum that she's designed that you're going to be using when you're teaching out there. So welcome, Victoria. Thanks for giving us the time to do this with us.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to talk about it.
Great. So, you know what? I think, although obviously your bio is everywhere and the information's out there, could you just give us a little bit about your background and why we think you're so magnificent?
Absolutely. So I am a therapist in Wichita, Kansas. I have studied in all kinds of different psychologies, community psychology, human factor psychology, social work. I have a pretty wide range with that. I also am published in a few academic journals, mostly for my studies on procrastination. But outside of that, I love, what I do. I love talking to people. I love helping people grow, helping people understand their emotions and themselves and seeing the progress that they make.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I've seen the curriculum and I'm excited to get to share more about that with them. So, in simple terms, how would you describe SEL, right? Everybody's heard what is SEL, social emotional learning. I understand that. What's the rest of the story?
Yeah. So social emotional learning, it's essentially a set of skills. So it's not just going to be only emotional or only social. It's going to be everything that goes into that. So we're looking at, decision making. Are you making responsible decisions? Are you using logic instead of emotion? And if you are using that emotion, where's that emotion coming from? How can you handle, weeding that emotion out? With the social side of it, again, it's going to be, relating to your peers, understanding what they might be going through, having empathy for them, being able to read their body language, being able to communicate with them. So it's all of those different factors kind of combined into one.
Got it. And so when our uh, franchisees or our managers or our leaders understand this, the way you've laid the curriculum out, it's really going to be important in terms of making this happen. So I really appreciate you putting that together. So one thing I'm big on is that a statement that Coach Wooden taught me is that kids are more in need of role models than critics, right? And I think
Absolutely.
nowadays it's not just kids, it's everybody, right? But
Yeah.
talk about role modeling a little bit in terms of social emotional learning and development.
So role modeling, like you said, is very, very important. It is like the biggest thing. When it comes to kids, so those younger kiddos especially, they are sponges. They are taking in not only the things that you say, but they're watching your actions. They're watching how you handle things because they're trying to learn for themselves how to go about, life in general. On top of that, too, if you're looking at, let's say you have a boss that maybe isn't the greatest when it comes to showing how to do things and they're much more of just a delegator and nothing else, you're not going to be as motivated to do those things for them
Right.
versus if they have the knowledge, if they're willing and able to show you how to do things, it's going to make the biggest difference because you're going to be able to learn and be comfortable learning those skills.
Absolutely. I remember early on working with kids and just realizing that they literally are more involved with what I'm doing than what I'm saying. And I tell everybody, be careful what you say. It can and will be used against you, but your actions even more so, right?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I know we'll talk about this a little bit later too, but when you are speaking with your actions, that's going to affect what your words say anyways. You can say the same sentence, but if your body looks different, if your face looks different when you say it, people are
Yeah.
going to interpret it different ways.
Absolutely. Yeah, they got to match up for sure. So, all right, let's dig in. So, how have you set it up, and what would be the best way for our staff, for our leadership, particularly coaches, whatever it is, to integrate the SEL curriculum, the SEL components into our programs? How do you suggest we do that?
Honestly, it's going to be a lot of lead by example, like we just said. It's also going to be giving yourself a little bit of leeway. Nothing's going to go perfect. We're not looking for perfection in every, action that you take, but we are looking for you to just try, and that's really all you can do in general. So when you're trying to really integrate all of these different things, some people are going to learn faster than others. Some kiddos may not understand it at all. You might notice that you have different parts of it that you don't understand or that you need help with. those are normal. Those are so expected. So give yourself that leniency, give yourself that grace, and that'll help a million times more than anything else.
I love that you're talking about grace and space and that, because a lot of times, especially a lot of people I deal with, we're perfectionists. We want to get it right. We got it, and this is more of a feeling,
Yep.
right? You got to be able to read the room to
Mm-hmm.
be able to make this happen, right? For sure.
Absolutely, yes. Yep, absolutely.
So I know you mentioned earlier, and I'm big on this one. I'm big on the power triangle, which is your forehead and your shoulders. When you're presenting, look present, be present, look the part, so they go, oh, we respect that. So give me a little bit on how you would suggest the importance of, and maybe some tips on body language.
So body language is actually a really interesting subject. There have been so many studies found where if you have open body language, you're looking very confident, your shoulders are back, your head held high, that actually makes it way harder for you to think negative thoughts to begin with.
Hmm.
Versus if your shoulders are concave, if you're folded into yourself, covering yourself somehow, you're not going to be as confident appearing to other people, but also negative thoughts are much easier to come into your mind. So if you're already standing, shoulders back with that confidence, even if you don't feel confident, that is still going to help to present yourself in a way that is confident and to make you feel confident in the long run.
It's funny, when we're teaching kids, we can actually, we do our RSVQ warm up. We can actually talk to them about body language and how they carry themselves. And also being able to read that is important within them, because obviously if they're hunch over and down, there's not that free flowing confidence. And that's really important for our staff and our leaders to understand that, correct?
Absolutely. And one other thing with body language too is you can tell how much somebody is understanding things, how much somebody is engaged with those things. If they're off here in la la land, you know that they're either not listening or to a point where they just can't take on any more information.
Yeah.
And so you can really recognize, okay, they know exactly what I'm saying, or they don't know exactly what I'm saying.
Totally get it. I like to, when that's going on, is I like to change the venue, even if it's just a pivot, to have a different backdrop so they see something a little different, to kind of get them to click in a little bit as best we can. That can help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know we've had lots of conversation on this one. Words matter, right? They say
Yeah.
what you say can and will be used against you. You can never get a chance to take those words back. How would you explain that a little bit for our staff, particularly?
So one way that I really like to explain it is, if you think back to your childhood or your teen years, most people can remember at least one thing that was said to them that was pretty negative or pretty hurtful. And it doesn't necessarily matter how the other person meant it, or if the other person apologized, or if they did it a million times. It's so easy to recollect those negative influences and those negative words that came to you. And so when you're thinking about the fact that you've carried that for, your entire lifetime or decades or however long it's been,
Yeah.
that I think is so, so powerful of an imagery to understand how important those words are.
Yeah, I know it's weird because I get emotional sometimes thinking about it. I was so blessed to have so many people that have just been positive and building you up so much. Hopefully we can get that on that level with our team. I think it's going to be really vital to have that happen. So good, yeah. So um, we're big on leadership, right? We've talked about it before at the National Academy of Athletics. I think it's so important that we're teaching them the skills, because we want people to lead when they get out there rather than follow. You know what I mean? I think it's really important on that. So helping students learn leadership, how would you say that our curriculum that you've helped to develop does that?
So it's going to help kids understand their own feelings, their own emotions, how to act in social settings. And
Yeah,
leaders, essentially what they are showing examples of how to make those decisions and to carry themselves in different situations. So when kids have this skill set in general, they're going to be able to make those better decisions. They're going to be able to understand, the different dynamics of things that are happening, and that's going to help them become better leaders because it's going to help them become better people and better friends.
yeah, totally, 100%. Yeah. I want them all to be leaders, right? Let's go.
Yes.
It's funny. I used to tell my kids all the time. They're back here. I tell them all the time, be leaders, just go. So, all
Yes.
right. So winning and losing, right? We know about, realistically, sports is more about failure than it is success, right? My
Yeah.
mom used to tell me, fall down 7 times, get up 8, which is an old, Japanese proverb. But so defeat and success are huge. We know that. So can you give a couple of tips, not just for teaching the kids, but also for our staff, because they're not going to be amazing teachers right out. You guys aren't going to be amazing at this. It's going to happen. You're going to fail a little bit, and we want to fail fast, fail forward, and learn from these things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's important in and of itself, but also recognizing the goals that you have don't have to be, I have to win this game. It doesn't have to be, I have to, be the top person in the championship. I have to be number one in the state. Those don't have to be your goals. Your goals might be, hey, you know what? I noticed that this skill of mine is pretty weak. And so my goal for this year is to practice it so many times. And I think showing that goal can be different than just winning and losing, and taking that importance off of only winning is going to help kids understand it's okay to lose. It's okay to win and it's okay to lose. You can enjoy winning, you can still celebrate your success, but that's not everything. And the way that you treat the other team and the way that coaches talk about the other team that has lost or that has won is going to have a huge impact as well.
It's so, when we run our camps and our clinics and our leagues and the program is happening, it's really important that we give them individual little bitty goals that, like, if you play a soccer match, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? There may only be one goal, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean the one kid that scored the goal is the winner and everybody else is a loser? No. Even if the final score is 1-0, 2, whatever it is, by giving them goals to make the short goals, making a successful pass. All right, great. How many times did we stop? Things like that. I really try to have our team focus on the effort rather than the result when we do
Yeah.
goals. When I coached my daughter, I remember that instead of worried about how many points we were going to score in basketball, I said I want to get 10 shots up every quarter. Because if we got 10
Yeah.
shots up, I figured, you know what? Some are going to go in because skill and maybe more because of luck, but it worked out. We actually had a great season, a lot more fun too.
Oh, good. And one thing that you kind of mentioned too is it's so easy to have goals when you are in the game and goals for the game in general, but it's also okay to have goals for after the game because that can be just as important when it comes to that defeat and success. So little things like, I mean, everybody has seen, the little kids that they finish their baseball game and they're going and they're shaking hands and high-fiving everybody, saying good game to every other player. Little things like that can make the biggest difference
Mm,
when you are trying to incorporate that healthy mentality when it comes to success versus failure or defeat.
love it. Absolutely. Well, here's another buzzword, right? Mental toughness. We want mental toughness, right? Okay, we know it's a great buzzword, really important that, but I do think there is a way to help kids, and you kind of mentioned a little bit of it. It kind of leaks into each other because, right, if they can handle defeat and they can handle success, then maybe that's part of this.
Yes, absolutely. They go hand in hand. And the other part of it too is going to be that leadership, showing, like leading by example, showing that it's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to express them. It's okay to have goals. On top of that, it's going to be a lot of positivity. So staying positive for your teammates, even if maybe you're not happy with the results. Even if you recognize, man, I set this goal nowhere close to it. But if you can just lean in and say, okay, I know I didn't hit the goal, but I got so close, or I did this right, or, I'm going to try harder next time. Maybe you don't feel like you did a single thing right. You can still say, but at least I tried.
Yeah, the building the particles. Ronnie Lott, the 49er, talks about particles, and when we're teaching, we talk a lot about that because if these kids get a little win here, a little win there, a little particle here, a little particle there, it all kind of comes together. And then when things don't go their way, they've built up confidence, they've built up the resiliency, all these other factors that doesn't bug them that much, right?
Yeah. And, I think the other thing with mental toughness to remember is that it does not happen overnight. It's not going to be from one great speech or from one great example or from, one happy comment. This is something that builds over a lifetime. Nobody is ever to the point of the best that they're going to be. It's going to be constant learning, constant growing. And so giving, especially little kiddos that haven't had that much life experience, a little bit more leniency of, okay, I know that they're trying. I know that it's maybe not there yet, but we're just going to help them work towards it.
And that's big. I mean, our brand is based on developing this for the kids, and it's all through the fundamentals and doing it enough. For us, if the kids are safe and they had fun and they
Yep.
learned skills, that's it. And if you notice that winning and losing is part of it, but it's not that goal. That stuff take care of themselves going forward. Great. So kind of want to wrap things in together here. Um, Look, there's lots of lessons, and hopefully the you guys are going to dig in more with the curriculum that she's developed and really be able to use this stuff. I will say that even though there's a lot more lessons in depth, is there maybe something, if you are going through the video and my head is spinning, there's so much that was there and this is wonderful. What are one, two, three things, tips that you think that are really important that we can take away from this?
So one, like I actually was just kind of talking about, is noticing your own bias, noticing your own stuff, those areas that maybe you're not the strongest in. That is okay to still be able to help others, even if you're not at like the peak condition for it. Recognizing your bias is going to help you take emotion out of it, because, if you are struggling with something or something from your past is coming up with a certain topic, it's going to be a lot harder for you to be successful in that topic towards others if you don't know that that's what's happening. So
Absolutely.
recognizing, man, I'm getting so emotional about this. What's going on? Or, even just saying, man, I'm getting really emotional about this. I need to just take a step back. I need to take my time. I need to process this first. And then I'm going to be able to come back in and use that logic, that reasoning to be able to make a better decision and to lead people in the right direction.
Totally get it. Yeah, no, it's great. So what I'm going to suggest to everybody is, because there's going to be people going, this is great, I want more, right? So obviously dig through the curriculum. There's a lot of stuff on our intranet, which is important. However, I know you're really busy and I appreciate your time with this, but if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way to do it, and kind of so they understand that methodology in terms of communication? You can obviously check in with us at the office. Of course, we'll work with you, but sometimes it's nice to be able to go right to you.
Yep, absolutely. So my email is probably going to be best for contacting me with any questions that you have. And I absolutely encourage questions in general. I think that that's such a big part of the learning experience. So my email is victoriadevereaullc@gmail.com. It's VICTORIADEVEREAUX
And I'll make sure
Feel
to
free
put it
to
in.
send
I'll make sure to put it in so they have access to it. Great. Well,
me.
I always enjoy our conversations, of course, whether we're sitting at a ball game in San Diego or jumping on Zoom or whatever the case may be. So I appreciate all the experience and the energy and the enthusiasm and the well thought out way you break this out. And I'm really, really, really grateful. And I know that our leadership is going to absorb this stuff and is continue to grow. And for those of you out there, as you go through this, you can re-watch these to kind of refresh in your memory on some of these. Make sure you reach out if you have questions. And I'm excited to see how all of you continue to put this into play. So thanks for listening and make it happen.